Stop lying to yourself. The person you're obsessed with doesn't love you back, and every second you spend hoping is stealing your life. You think you're in love, but really, you're addicted to the idea of being wanted. Imagine reclaiming that energy, that power, and finally living for yourself. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to stop giving your heart to someone who doesn't deserve it, and how to become untouchable, unstoppable, and free. Listen closely, because nothing I say is soft, and everything I say can change your life. You have to stop lying to yourself. The first thing you need to understand is that denial will never serve you. Loving someone who doesn't love you back is exhausting, but pretending everything is fine makes it worse. Every day you hold on to a false hope, you are stealing your own energy. You're sacrificing your peace for a fantasy that doesn't exist. The person you are chasing doesn't see you the way you see them. The harder you try, the more invisible you become. It's not because you're not enough, it's because they never intended to give you what you need. Acceptance isn't weakness, it's clarity. And clarity is the foundation of freedom. And stop telling yourself stories about how they might change. Stop inventing reasons why they haven't committed or why they act distant. You are creating a narrative to protect your heart, but in reality, you are lying to yourself. The truth is uncomfortable, but the truth is necessary. You cannot fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. You cannot fill a space that they refuse to occupy. Denial is easy, but it's a trap. Face the reality that they don't feel the way you do. Once you acknowledge it, you stop giving them the power to control your emotions. You stop waiting for a love that doesn't exist. And every moment you spend fantasizing about them is a moment you are not living your own life. You deserve attention, time, and energy from people who choose you willingly. You are not supposed to beg, manipulate, or convince someone to care about you. That is not love. That is desperation disguised as affection. When you accept the truth, you give yourself the permission to live fully. You start seeing opportunities you missed because you were focused on someone else. Acceptance allows you to stop wandering in circles. It allows you to redirect your emotional energy to things that grow you. You can't pour into someone who doesn't appreciate your value. And pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Accepting that someone doesn't love you will hurt, but it is not permanent. The longer you resist reality, the longer you remain trapped in that pain. Every day you hold on, you are eroding your self-respect. But when you face the truth, something powerful happens. You reclaim your agency. You stop allowing someone else's choices to dictate your happiness. You learn that your worth is not determined by who loves you and who doesn't. This realization is a turning point. It is the moment when you shift from being reactive to being proactive about your life. You realize that the power was inside you all along, and clarity comes from courage. It takes courage to look at your emotions without excuses. It takes courage to admit that what you hope for will never happen. Most people avoid this step because it's uncomfortable, but discomfort is necessary for growth. You cannot move forward while clinging to false hope. You must confront your feelings directly. Examine why you are attached and what you are afraid of losing. Ask yourself, am I loving this person, or am I addicted to the idea of being loved by them? When you answer honestly, the fog begins to lift. Courage gives you vision, and vision shows you the life waiting beyond heartbreak. And the more you resist reality, the more you diminish yourself. You trade your self-worth for a shadow of a relationship. You diminish your standards and compromise your needs. You tolerate behavior that would normally be unacceptable. But the moment you accept the truth, boundaries become natural. You stop justifying their neglect. You stop excusing their absence. You begin to protect your time, your heart, and your energy. Acceptance is not resignation, it is empowerment. It is the moment you decide that your life is more important than their indifference. You reclaim your space in the world with dignity, and you must also recognize that attachment is a habit, not a mandate. Loving someone who doesn't love you back becomes automatic because of repetition, not necessity. You wake up thinking about them, you go to sleep thinking about them, and you replay memories like they're your identity. But you are not your attachment. You are a powerful human being capable of focusing your love elsewhere. Acceptance interrupts the habit loop. It teaches your brain that life exists outside this one-sided connection. It allows you to redirect your focus to growth, fulfillment, and people who value you. Love yourself enough to break the cycle. And grief is part of the process, and it is essential to allow it. Accepting reality doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you face it, you process it, and you keep moving. Cry if you need to. Write if it helps, but don't let it define your life. Each moment of pain is temporary if you don't let denial extend it. The truth is a healer. The sooner you embrace it, the sooner you start rebuilding. You cannot control someone else's feelings, but you can control how you respond. Acceptance allows you to stop reacting emotionally and start acting intentionally. Every choice you make after facing reality strengthens your independence. And stop waiting for signs, messages, or excuses. Acceptance means you no longer rely on them to validate your worth. Waiting keeps you suspended in limbo, but clarity gives you freedom. You stop blaming yourself for their disinterest. You stop hoping that timing or circumstances will change. Life is too short to be trapped by someone else's inability to love you back. Acceptance is an act of self-respect. It is a refusal to let someone else's indifference dictate your happiness. Every day you hold on to this truth, you grow stronger, more confident, and more grounded in reality, and finally understand that acceptance is the first step toward transformation. Once you stop lying to yourself, you stop chasing what is impossible. Your focus shifts from someone else's heart to your own life, your goals, and your potential. You start to see opportunities that were invisible when you were trapped in fantasy. Your energy returns to you. You start building new habits, connecting with new people, and pursuing passions that define you. The truth liberates. It doesn't just end a chapter, it rewrites the entire story of your life. And the power is no longer in someone else's hands, it is in yours. Your energy is your most valuable currency. Every thought, every emotion, every action is a deposit or a withdrawal from the account of your life. Ask yourself who deserves it. If someone doesn't love you back, they do not deserve a single ounce of your focus. Yet most people continue to invest in them, hoping for a miracle. That hope keeps you stuck in a loop of disappointment. You give away your attention like it's unlimited, but it isn't. Your time, your presence, your energy, all finite resources are being drained by someone who cannot reciprocate. Stop pouring into a void. Value yourself enough to redirect that energy to people and pursuits that actually grow you. And you cannot force someone to love you. It doesn't matter how much you try, how many messages you send, or how many favors you do. Love is a choice, not a negotiation. And when someone has already decided not to include you in their world, every effort you make is wasted. Every attempt only deepens your attachment without any return. Recognize the difference between love and obsession. The obsession keeps you tied to someone who doesn't value you. Love is mutual, nourishing, and uplifting. Stop confusing their indifference with potential. Stop confusing your persistence with passion. This realization is the first step toward reclaiming control. And boundaries are not optional, they are necessary. When you continue to give your energy to someone who doesn't appreciate it, you are violating your own limits. Boundaries protect your mental space, your emotional stability, and your self-worth. Without them, you are handing over power you never agreed to relinquish. When you decide to set limits, you send a clear message your love, time, and attention are not free for exploitation. The right people will meet you at your standard. The wrong people will push back. And that's okay. This is not about punishing anyone. It's about valuing yourself enough to demand respect. And shifting your energy is not easy. It requires deliberate action. Most people claim they want to move on, but their habits tell a different story. They check social media obsessively, replay conversations in their mind, and imagine scenarios that will never exist. These habits fuel your attachment and prolong the pain. To break free, you must replace them with actions that serve you. Exercise, learn new skills, spend time with supportive people, or immerse yourself in work and hobbies. Every intentional action redirects your energy and reinforces independence. The moment you begin to act differently, your mind and heart will follow. And self-love is not just a phrase, it's a practice. Loving yourself enough to stop investing in someone who doesn't reciprocate is one of the most radical acts of empowerment. This is not about arrogance or selfishness, it's about survival and growth. You must remind yourself daily that your energy is sacred. You are allowed to withdraw it from those who drain you. The more you honor your boundaries, the more you cultivate respect for yourself. The more you respect yourself, the more others will too. When you internalize this principle, you stop waiting for external validation and start creating your own, and energy is contagious. When you direct your focus to people who uplift, support, and inspire you, you begin to attract more of the same. Conversely, lingering around those who are indifferent or toxic drains your vitality and clouds your judgment. You cannot grow while tethered to someone who refuses to see your value. By consciously choosing where to invest your energy, you are not only protecting yourself, but also shaping the quality of your future relationships. You are sending a clear signal to the universe you only accept mutual respect and affection. Anything less is unacceptable. And attachment is often about habit rather than genuine connection. You become used to giving your energy to a person, and breaking that habit feels impossible. But habits can be changed with conscious effort. Start by limiting interactions and emotional availability. Replace old routines with new ones that nourish your self-worth. Celebrate small victories in reclaiming your focus. Each step reinforces the idea that your energy belongs to you. You cannot control their choices, but you can control how much of yourself you offer. Over time, detachment becomes natural and your energy flows freely toward what truly matters. And reflection is essential. Ask yourself why you are still giving energy to someone who cannot reciprocate. Is it fear of loneliness? Is it hope for an imagined future? Is it the ego clinging to validation? Understanding your motivations allows you to break the cycle. Once you see the patterns, you can replace them with intentional behaviors. You will no longer act on autopilot, reacting emotionally to someone else's indifference. You will act with purpose, choosing self-respect over desperation. Every choice you make from this place strengthens your independence and reclaims your power. And forgiveness plays a role, but not for them, for you. Forgive yourself for investing time and energy in someone who could not return it. Forgive the situation and release the expectation that they will ever change. Holding on to resentment only drains more energy. Acceptance of reality frees you to invest in yourself and those who value you. When you forgive, you are not condoning their behavior. You are liberating your mind and heart. This clarity allows you to direct your focus toward growth, achievement, and genuine connections. Energy redirected in this way multiplies your potential. And finally, remember that action creates momentum. You can feel helpless when emotions run wild, but the act of intentionally redirecting energy produces results. Stop texting, stop checking, stop hoping, and start living. Fill your days with people and activities that add value. With each conscious choice, your emotional independence grows. You will begin to see the difference between someone who deserves your energy and someone who doesn't. Your life will expand as your focus returns to yourself. And with that, you will discover the profound power of investing only in what reciprocates. Too often, we define ourselves by the presence of someone else. You wake up thinking about them, your mood depends on their actions, and your self-worth is tied to their attention. This is dangerous because it hands over control of your life to someone who cannot or will not reciprocate. Rebuilding your identity means asking a fundamental question: who are you when they're gone? When you remove them from the equation, what remains? The answer reveals your true self. This process is not instantaneous. It requires reflection, honesty, and intentional action. You must confront the parts of your identity that have been shaped by their influence. Only then can you rebuild with strength, and your passions, your dreams, and your goals are the foundation of who you are. When someone doesn't love you back, you have been living in a void, prioritizing them over your own growth. Reclaiming your identity means returning to the things that bring you fulfillment. It could be a hobby you abandoned, a career path you neglected, or personal skills you never fully explored. When you redirect energy toward your own ambitions, you remind yourself of your worth. Every accomplishment, no matter how small, rebuilds your confidence. The more you focus on yourself, the less space remains for unreciprocated emotions. Identity reconstruction is active, not passive, and it demands consistent effort. And recognize the difference between self-reflection and self-pity. Reflection is empowering. Pity keeps you stuck. Many people use heartbreak as an excuse to avoid responsibility for their growth. They sit and replay memories instead of creating new ones. Rebuilding your identity requires courage to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. What patterns allowed you to become attached? What habits reinforce dependency? This is not to blame yourself, but to understand your own psychology. Awareness gives you control. Once you identify the triggers, you can design your environment, routines, and social circles to support independence. Knowledge is power when applied intentionally, and your social circle matters. Surround yourself with people who reinforce your worth and independence. Friends who uplift, mentors who inspire, and communities that challenge you help redefine your identity. Toxic relationships, even casual acquaintances, can keep you anchored to the past. Rebuilding means evaluating who you spend time with and removing influences that drain your energy. When you are consistent in surrounding yourself with positive influences, your mind begins to shift. You start thinking in terms of growth, opportunity, and self-respect instead of longing and attachment. Social alignment accelerates your transformation and strengthens your new identity, and habits shape identity more than intentions. You may declare that you want to move on, but your daily actions speak louder than words. Are you still checking their messages, scrolling through their social media, or replaying old conversations? Each action reinforces your attachment and delays independence. Rebuilding requires creating new patterns. Fill your day with routines that serve your goals and your self-esteem. Exercise, read, learn, and create. Replace idle time spent longing for someone with productive or fulfilling tasks. The more consistent you are with new habits, the more naturally your identity shifts away from dependency. Action molds who you become, and self-expression is a tool for reclaiming identity. Write, speak, or create to process emotions and reinforce self-awareness. Journaling helps you track growth, recognize patterns, and release lingering attachment. Expressive activities reinforce the notion that your life is yours, not someone else's. When you externalize your feelings, they lose power over you. You begin to understand your emotions rather than being controlled by them. Artistic or physical expression can also serve as a reminder of your strength and individuality. Rebuilding identity is not just mental, it's emotional, physical, and creative. Each outlet reinforces your autonomy, and confidence grows when you face discomfort intentionally. Moving away from someone who doesn't love you back will feel strange, lonely, and sometimes terrifying. These feelings are indicators that you are detaching from dependence. Lean into discomfort instead of avoiding it. By intentionally choosing actions that prioritize your own growth over longing for someone else, you reinforce your self-worth. Every choice to redirect focus from them to yourself strengthens your sense of self. Confidence is not innate, it is built through repeated acts of courage. Each small victory in reclaiming your identity compounds into lasting empowerment. And forgiveness is part of rebuilding, but it is for you. Forgive yourself for allowing attachment to define your identity. Forgive the situation, the person, and the emotions that held you captive. This does not mean condoning behavior. It means releasing its power over your life. Holding on to resentment keeps your identity tethered to them. Release, reclaim, and refocus. Forgiveness creates space for growth. When you stop defining yourself in relation to someone who didn't reciprocate, you give yourself permission to flourish independently. Emotional liberation is a critical step in rebuilding who you are, and your identity is not static, it evolves with your choices. Each decision to prioritize yourself, your passions, and your emotional health reinforces a stronger self. You are not rebuilding to erase the past, but to create a foundation that cannot be shaken by someone else's indifference. Life rewards those who take ownership of their identity. By choosing actions that reflect your values, you naturally attract people and opportunities that align with your worth. This is the essence of independence, not waiting for validation from others, but creating a life that validates you. Autonomy is the ultimate form of empowerment. And finally, remember that rebuilding identity is a long-term commitment. It requires daily effort, self-awareness, and courage to detach from what no longer serves you. The process is ongoing, and setbacks may occur, but they do not define you. Each day you choose growth over attachment, you reinforce your autonomy. Each action that aligns with your values strengthens the foundation of who you are. Independence is not a state of being, it is a practice, and your identity will continue to expand as you prioritize yourself. With every intentional choice, you become the person capable of creating a fulfilling life beyond unrequited love. Action is the fastest way to reclaim your life from someone who doesn't love you back. Thoughts alone will not break the cycle of attachment. You have to move physically, emotionally, and mentally. Stop checking their messages, stop stalking social media, and stop holding on to hope that isn't reciprocated. Each moment of inaction strengthens the habit of longing. When you act deliberately to remove their presence from your daily life, your mind begins to follow. Actions create momentum, and momentum builds independence. This is not a step to punish them. It is a step to protect yourself. You are choosing to honor your own time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. Let action be your declaration of self-respect. And distance is more than physical. It is emotional and mental as well. You cannot heal while mentally tethered to someone who refuses to see your worth. Creating space allows your emotions to reset and your perspective to clarify. It is uncomfortable at first because attachment resists change, but discomfort is a sign of growth. You must prioritize yourself over the longing for their presence. When you remove reminders, stop seeking connection, and focus on your life, the emotional weight begins to lift. Distance is the environment in which independence thrives. By creating it intentionally, you reclaim control over your own mind. This space is sacred, and it allows clarity to emerge. The first step in healing is removing the chains of constant proximity. And your routines define your emotional state. Old habits reinforce attachment, but new routines build strength and self-reliance. Fill your day with purposeful activities that serve you. Exercise, creative projects, work, learning, and social connections become tools of transformation. Replace the time you spent waiting with investment in yourself. Each new habit shifts your brain's default patterns, reducing emotional dependence. The more consistent you are, the faster healing occurs. Rebuilding your life is not passive, it is active and intentional. With structure and purpose, you will discover energy and confidence you didn't know existed. These habits are the building blocks of the life you deserve. And healing is not linear. Some days will feel heavier than others, and memories may resurface unexpectedly. This is natural. The key is to respond with action, not indulgence. When painful thoughts arise, acknowledge them, but then choose behaviors that reinforce your independence. Call a friend, go for a run, immerse yourself in work, or practice a new skill. Every intentional action reprograms your mind. You begin to associate freedom with energy redirected toward yourself rather than longing for someone else. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. By responding actively, you convert emotional turbulence into personal growth. Every small victory compounds, strengthening your resilience, and self-care is critical during this process. Prioritize your physical health, mental clarity, and emotional stability. Sleep, nutrition, and movement affect your ability to maintain boundaries. Meditation, journaling, or therapy can accelerate understanding of your attachment patterns. When you show yourself love through care, you reinforce the idea that you are worthy independent of anyone else's attention. The more consistently you practice self-care, the less space remains for obsession or longing. Independence grows naturally when you treat yourself as valuable. This is not indulgence. It is strategic investment in your future. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and healing requires full capacity, and forgiveness plays a subtle but powerful role. Forgive yourself for giving too much to someone who could not reciprocate. Forgive them for their inability or unwillingness to love you in the way you needed. Forgiveness is not about condoning behavior. It is about liberating your own heart. When resentment leaves, space opens for clarity, peace, and forward momentum. Forgiving does not mean returning. It means releasing. The act of letting go strengthens your independence. You reclaim the narrative of your life and assert that your happiness is not contingent on anyone else. Forgiveness is an internal power move that reinforces emotional sovereignty, and support systems accelerate recovery. Surround yourself with people who uplift, challenge, and remind you of your value. Seek mentors, friends, or communities that inspire growth and independence. Isolation prolongs attachment while connection reinforces self-worth. When you consistently interact with people who respect your boundaries, your mind absorbs new patterns of reciprocity. Positive relationships act as a mirror, reflecting your strength and worth back to you. Your energy becomes focused on mutual exchange, not one-sided longing. Community and support are critical accelerants for building a life free from emotional dependency. Choose your company wisely, and mindset is everything. Shift your narrative from victimhood to empowerment. Stop framing yourself as someone who lost love. Instead, see yourself as someone gaining clarity and independence. Thoughts shape emotions, and emotions drive actions. By intentionally cultivating a mindset of self-worth and control, you strengthen your ability to resist attachment. Affirmations, reflection, and intentional thinking are tools to maintain focus. When you consistently internalize the truth that you deserve reciprocity and respect, your energy realigns. You are no longer at the mercy of someone else's indifference. Mindset becomes the engine powering your transformation, and celebrate progress. Even small victories like resisting the urge to text, avoiding social media stalking, or taking action to improve yourself are signs of growth. Acknowledge them, because recognition fuels momentum. Transformation is built incrementally. Each choice to act, to detach, and to prioritize yourself compounds into a stronger, more resilient version of you. The process teaches discipline, patience, and emotional mastery. Progress is evidence of your power and your ability to thrive independently. Celebrating wins reinforces confidence and accelerates healing. Your journey is not about perfection, but about continual movement toward autonomy and self-respect. And ending attachment requires courage, consistency, and intentionality. Every decision you make to protect your energy, set boundaries, and rebuild your life strengthens independence. Actions matter more than intentions. Your routines, habits, mindset, and support system collectively shape a future where your happiness is self-generated. Distance, self-care, forgiveness, and active engagement in your own growth accelerate recovery. The more deliberate your steps, the faster you break the cycle of unreciprocated love. You regain clarity, strength, and confidence. Your life expands as your focus returns to yourself. This is empowerment in action, a demonstration that you are the architect of your own fulfillment. By taking control, you prove that love from others is never the prerequisite for your happiness. You create it yourself.